Built to Rise: Success Principles for Melanated People and People of African Descent, written by Langston E. Hughes. Chapter 10: From Consumer to Producer. A people cannot spend their way into freedom. Consumption is easy to measure because it is visible. The shoes, the car, the hair, the jewelry, the phone, the trip, the restaurant, the outfit, the subscription, the concert ticket, the furniture, the party, the beauty product, the streaming service, the brand logo, the celebration, the holiday spending, the weekend escape. None of these things are automatically wrong. Joy matters, beauty matters, rest matters, celebration matters. People of African descent deserve pleasure, style, art, travel, good food, music, comfort, and moments of delight. A success philosophy that treats all enjoyment as weakness becomes harsh and inhuman. Our people have created beauty under pressure for centuries. We should not apologize for loving color, rhythm, taste, adornment, hospitality, and excellence. The problem is not consumption. The problem is consumption without production. The problem is when a people become highly skilled at buying what others own, promote, manufacture, distribute, finance, insure, and profit from, while remaining underdeveloped as producers, owners, publishers, builders, investors, and institution makers. The problem is when culture creates demand, but ownership lives somewhere else. The problem is when identity is expressed through purchases more than power. The problem is when a household looks successful but owns no assets, has no emergency fund, no estate plan, no business structure, no investment habit, no skill plan, and no path for the children beyond more consumption. Consumer identity asks, what can I buy to show who I am? Producer identity asks, what can I create, own, improve, distribute, teach, or build from who I am? This chapter is about making that turn. Consumption is not freedom. Buying something can feel like freedom, especially for people whose ancestors were denied choice, wages, property, and dignity. There is a deep emotional history here. To choose your clothes, decorate your home, buy land, feed your family, travel where you want, and enjoy what your labor earns can feel like proof of humanity. That should be honored. Consumption can carry meaning when people have been denied control over their own lives. But consumption alone cannot create freedom because the consumer depends on someone else's production. If someone else owns the factory, platform, farmland, publishing house, software, patent, shipping network, studio, bank, data, store, algorithm, recipe, curriculum, building, and financing, then the consumer has choice inside limits created by producers. Freedom requires more than choice at checkout. Freedom requires the ability to create value, control distribution, protect ownership, make decisions, and transfer assets. If we only consume, we fund someone else's system. If we produce, we begin building our own. This does not mean every person must manufacture physical goods. Production has many forms. You can produce a service, produce a book, produce a class, produce a song, produce a farm crop, produce a software tool, produce a repair solution, produce a meal plan, produce a childcare cooperative, produce research, produce a community archive, produce a health program, produce a film, produce a training curriculum, produce a clean rental property, produce a family financial system, produce employment, produce leadership. Producer identity asks, what value can move through me into the world? The consumer script. A consumer script is a repeated message that tells you buying is the main way to feel powerful, loved, respected, relieved, or seen. It may sound like I deserve this because I work hard. I need to look successful. People will respect me if I have this. I had a hard week, so I should spend. My children cannot go without what other children have. If I do not buy now, I am missing out. This is how I express myself. Everyone is doing it. I can figure out the bill later. Some of these thoughts may contain emotional truth. You do work hard. You do deserve beauty. Children should not be shamed. Style can be expression. But a script becomes dangerous when it makes spending automatic and building optional. Ask, what feeling am I trying to buy? Is this purchase aligned with my purpose? Does this support health, family, skill, ownership, joy, or escape? Will I still respect this decision in 30 days? What asset, skill, or system could this money support instead? Am I buying from fullness or from insecurity? These questions do not forbid pleasure. They make pleasure conscious. A producer can enjoy consumption because production is also happening. The issue is balance. A household that only spends will eventually be governed by those who own what it spends on. Culture creates demand. People of African descent have shaped global culture. Music, dance, fashion, language, hair, food, sports, spirituality, comedy, visual style, literature, social movements, performance, and digital trends often move from our communities into the world. What begins in a neighborhood kitchen, dance floor, salon, studio, church, playground, or family gathering can become international demand. But too often, the people who create cultural demand do not capture the greatest economic value from it. Others package it. Others trademark it. Others manufacture it. Others distribute it. Others finance it. Others sell it back. Others archive it. Others tell the story. Others own the platform. This is not only frustrating, it is a strategic warning. If culture is valuable, culture must be protected and organized. If a phrase, recipe, design, sound, method, dance, story, teaching, or product comes from your community, ask what kind of ownership, documentation, credit, licensing, business model, or institution should surround it. The goal is not to freeze culture. Culture lives by movement. The goal is to stop letting cultural brilliance become economic extraction by default. Creators need contracts. Families need documentation. Communities need archives. Artists need publishing knowledge. Chefs need recipe ownership and business systems. Designers need trademarks. Educators need curriculum rights. Musicians need masters, publishing, licensing, and performance rights knowledge. Digital creators need audience ownership beyond platforms. Spiritual and cultural teachers need ethical boundaries around sacred knowledge. Cultural power becomes economic power when it is organized. Real-world example. Johnson Publishing Company. Johnson Publishing Company, founded by John H. Johnson in 1942, became one of the most influential media institutions created by people of African descent in the United States. Through magazines, photography, fashion, cosmetics, and storytelling, it showed our communities images of themselves that mainstream media often ignored or distorted. The lesson is not only that Johnson published magazines. The lesson is that he produced representation instead of waiting for representation. He identified a hunger. People wanted to see their lives, beauty, success, struggles, style, families, leaders, entertainers, and everyday dignity reflected with seriousness. Rather than only complain about exclusion, he built media. That is producer thinking. Where consumers say, "They do not show us," producers ask, "What can we publish?" Where consumers say, "They do not tell our stories," producers ask, "What platform can we build?" Where consumers say, "They do not market to us with dignity," producers ask, "What products can we create for ourselves?" Johnson Publishing also teaches a second lesson. Ownership must be protected across time. Media landscapes change. Technology changes. Debt succession, market shifts, and platform changes can threaten even powerful institutions. Producing is not enough. Institutions need adaptation, governance, capital, succession planning, and preservation. The producer must ask, how will this survive the first generation? How will archives be protected? How will leadership transition? How will ownership be maintained? How will technology change the business? How will the institution avoid depending on one personality? Production creates value. Stewardship preserves it. The producer's mind. A producer sees the world differently. The consumer sees a problem and asks, "Who can I pay to fix this?" the producer asks. Could I learn to solve this? Could I build a service around it? Could I connect people who solve it? Could I teach others how to avoid it? The consumer sees a trend and asks, how can I participate? The producer asks, who owns this? Who profits? What need is underneath it? What can be built with integrity? The consumer sees an event and asks, can I attend? The producer asks, could I host, sponsor, film, cater, vend, design, manage, promote, or create something connected to it? The consumer sees content and asks, do I like this? The producer asks, what made this effective? What equipment, writing, editing, distribution, audience, and business model are behind it? The consumer sees a neighborhood and asks, what is missing? The producer asks, what can be organized here and who is already doing work worth supporting? This is not about turning every moment into money. It is about training the mind to notice value creation. Producer thinking asks what is needed. What do I know? What can I learn? Who can I serve? What can be improved? What can be owned? What can be repeated? What can be taught? What can be protected? What can be passed down? Redirecting spending into production, you do not have to stop spending entirely to become a producer. You need to redirect some spending toward production. Choose one consumption habit and convert part of it into a production habit. If you spend heavily on food outside the home, redirect some of that money into cooking skills, meal prep tools, a family recipe archive, a catering test, or a food business plan. If you spend heavily on clothing, redirect some into sewing lessons, design software, resale knowledge, tailoring, textile study, or a small apparel brand test. If you spend heavily on beauty, redirect some into cosmetology education, product formulation knowledge, licensing, booth rental planning, content creation, or retail strategy. If you spend heavily on entertainment, redirect some into learning audio, video, writing, event production, stage management, lighting, editing, or booking. If you spend heavily on technology, redirect some into coding, cybersecurity, data skills, digital marketing, automation, repair, or product development. If you spend heavily on travel, redirect some into travel planning services, cultural tour, photography, writing, retreat design, or hospitality business research. If you spend heavily on children's activities, redirect some into creating a parent cooperative, tutoring group, youth academy, sports training program, or educational resource. The point is not to remove joy. The point is to make joy productive. Ask, what do I buy repeatedly? What skill, service, or business sits behind that purchase? Could I learn part of that production chain? Could someone in my family learn it? Could this become income, savings, or ownership? Consumption can become curriculum if you study what is behind it. Real-world example. Tyler Perry Studios. Tyler Perry's career offers a modern example of moving from creative production to ownership of infrastructure. He began in theater, built an audience, wrote and produced stories, expanded into television and film, and eventually developed Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta. The studio's official site presents it as a major production facility with sound stages, backlot areas, and production resources. The lesson is not that every reader should build a film studio. The lesson is that creative power grows when creators control more of the production chain. Writing is power. Owning scripts is more power. Producing the work is more power. Building a loyal audience is more power. Controlling distribution relationships is more power. Owning production facilities is more power. Hiring others is more power. Creating infrastructure for future stories is more power. Perry's path is also a reminder that audiences ignored by traditional gatekeepers can become the foundation of an empire. He did not wait for every critic or institution to approve his audience. He served the people who responded to his work and built from there. For the reader, the question is, where am I only creating content when I should also be learning ownership? Where am I only performing when I should be studying production? Where am I only seeking a platform when I should be building one? Where am I only asking to be included when I should be serving an audience directly? Creative people of African descent must think beyond visibility. Visibility can be rented. Ownership changes the conversation. Products, services, and assets production usually takes three forms: products, services, and assets. A product is something that can be sold as a unit. It may be physical or digital. Examples: books, clothing, food products, beauty products, artwork, music, courses, templates, software, tools, furniture, agricultural goods. A service is work performed for a customer or community. Examples: coaching, consulting, tutoring, hair care, barbering, repair, cleaning, medical care, legal services, accounting, photography, video editing, childcare, transportation, event production. An asset is something that can hold or produce value over time. Examples: real estate, business equity, intellectual property, investments, land, equipment, a customer list, a brand, a licensed method, a catalog of music, a curriculum, a publishing library, a software tool. The producer's goal is to move from only performing services toward building products and assets where possible. Services can produce strong income, but they often depend heavily on time. Products and assets can create leverage when designed well. This does not mean services are inferior. A skilled service provider can build a powerful business. But even a service business should ask, can I create packages? Can I train others? Can I sell products alongside the service? Can I document my method? Can I create recurring revenue? Can I build a customer list? Can I own my tools and space? Can I create an asset from what I know? The path from worker to owner often begins by asking better questions about the work already being done. The production chain: every product or service has a chain. Take a simple t-shirt. Someone grows or manufactures fiber. Someone processes fabric. Someone designs. Someone prints. Someone photographs. Someone markets. Someone sells. Someone ships. Someone manages customer service. Someone owns the brand. Someone owns the data. Someone collects profit. Most consumers see only the shirt. Producers see the chain. Take a song. Someone writes, someone composes, someone records, someone engineers, someone mixes, someone masters. Someone designs cover art, someone distributes, someone markets, someone licenses, someone tracks royalties, someone owns publishing. Someone owns masters. Most listeners hear only the song. Producers see the chain. Take a meal. Someone grows food, someone transports, someone stores, someone cooks. Someone packages, someone serves, someone brands, someone manages costs, someone handles licensing, someone creates the customer experience. Most diners taste only the meal. Producers see the chain. When you see the chain, you can choose where to enter. You may not need to own every part, but you should understand enough to avoid being trapped at the lowest value point forever. Ask, where is value created? Where is profit captured? Where is ownership protected? Where are people underpaid? Where can quality improve? Where could I enter with skill? Where could my community cooperate? Producer thinking studies the chain. From attention to ownership. Attention is not ownership. A large following is not automatically a business. Going viral is not automatically wealth. Being known is not automatically being paid. Influence without structure can be exploited. If you have attention, build ownership around it. Own an email list. Own a website. Own a product. Own a service. Own a community platform. Own intellectual property. Own customer relationships. Own contracts. Own data where legally and ethically appropriate. Own the archive of your work. Social platforms can change rules, reduce reach, suspend accounts, favor different content, or disappear. If all your economic power depends on a platform you do not own, your power is fragile. Use platforms, but build assets outside them. Turn followers into subscribers. Turn views into trust. Turn trust into offers. Turn offers into revenue. Turn revenue into systems. Turn systems into assets. Attention is a doorway. Ownership is the house. The family production project. One practical way to change a household is to create a family production project. Choose something the family can build, make, learn, sell, grow, document, or serve together. Examples: a family garden, a weekend cleaning service, a digital family history archive, a recipe book, a small vending table, a tutoring project, a handmade product, a neighborhood repair day, a children's book, a family YouTube education channel with clear boundaries, a savings challenge tied to a product sale, a holiday market booth, a lawn care service, a care package business, a community meal project. The goal is not to force every family into entrepreneurship. The goal is to teach production thinking. Children learn differently when they see ideas become objects, services, customers, money, feedback, improvement, and responsibility. They learn that value is created. They learn that work has steps. They learn that money can be connected to service. They learn that mistakes are part of building. They learn that family can cooperate, make the project small enough to finish. Completion teaches more than endless dreaming. Real-world example: beauty, hair, and product ownership. The beauty and hair care market has long been shaped by the needs, creativity, rituals, and purchasing power of melanated women and families. Yet for generations, many of the products used by people of African descent were manufactured, financed, and distributed by companies outside the communities that created demand. This makes beauty a powerful case study. Hair care is not only appearance. It can involve identity, health, confidence, family bonding, cultural memory, entrepreneurship, chemistry, retail, licensing, manufacturing, distribution, and media. A salon is often more than a salon. It can be a place of trust, news, healing, referral, mentorship, and business. Producer thinking asks who makes the products, who owns the formulas, who owns the stores, who trains the stylists, who owns the salon buildings, who controls distribution, who owns the media platforms reviewing products, who collects customer data, who teaches children to care for their hair with dignity. This is not a call for every person to start a beauty brand. It is a call to see the production chain behind a daily cultural practice. Some people should become chemists. Some should become licensed professionals. Some should become salon owners. Some should become landlords renting to beauty businesses. Some should become product photographers. Some should become accountants for salons. Some should become educators. Some should become manufacturers. Some should become investors. A community becomes powerful when it sees opportunity across the chain, not only at the cash register. Producer ethics: becoming a producer does not justify exploiting others. Some people learn the language of ownership and then repeat the same harms they complained about. They underpay workers. They disrespect customers. They steal ideas. They avoid contracts. They sell poor quality. They use culture as marketing while giving nothing back. They treat community loyalty as permission to be unprofessional. That is not liberation. That is imitation of exploitation. Producer ethics matter: produce quality, tell the truth in marketing, pay people fairly when you can, use written agreements, give credit, protect customer information, respect sacred cultural material, deliver what you promise, handle complaints with maturity, avoid manipulating vulnerable people. Do not sell what you know is harmful. Do not use community language to hide greed. Production should increase dignity, not only income. The goal is not to become a smaller version of the systems that harmed us. The goal is to build better systems. Starting with what you have: many people delay production because they focus on what they lack. No money, no equipment, no audience, no degree, no investor, no perfect space, no logo, no website, no confidence. Some needs are real. A person may need training, licensing, capital, safety, childcare, transportation, or health support. Do not pretend barriers do not exist, but also ask: what can begin now? Can you study? Can you write the plan? Can you interview potential customers? Can you create a sample? Can you practice the skill? Can you save for the tool? Can you borrow space legally and respectfully? Can you volunteer strategically to learn? Can you document your process? Can you pre-sell? Can you partner? Can you repair something? Can you teach one person? Can you create a smaller version? Production begins with useful motion. Do not let the perfect version become the enemy of the first version. The producer's weekly rhythm to become a producer schedule production. A weekly rhythm might include 1 hour of skill development, 1 hour of market study, 1 hour of creation, 1 hour of improvement, 1 hour of outreach or sales, 1 hour of financial review, 1 hour of rest and reflection. Adjust the timing to your life. A parent working 2 jobs may need smaller blocks. A full-time entrepreneur may need more. The point is that production must have a place on the calendar. If you do not schedule production, consumption will fill the space. Track production activities: pages written, products made, calls completed, customers served, lessons practiced, videos edited, meals tested, designs drafted, applications submitted, offers made, money saved, systems improved. What gets measured becomes more visible. What becomes visible becomes easier to improve. The 30-day producer challenge: for 30 days, practice becoming a producer. Day 1, choose one area where you consume heavily. Day 2, study the production chain behind it. Day 3, identify one skill in that chain you could learn. Day 4, find 3 people or businesses already producing in that area. Day 5, write down what problem they solve. Day 6, create a small version of your own idea. Day 7, rest and review. Week 2, practice the skill daily for at least 20 minutes. Week 3, share a sample, offer help, test a service, or ask for feedback. Week 4, improve the offer and identify how it could become income, savings, or an asset. At the end of 30 days, ask, what did I learn about production? What was harder than I expected? What value did I create? What could be sold, taught, improved, or repeated? What spending did I redirect? What is the next 90-day step? This challenge is not about instant wealth. It is about changing identity. A producer's mind is trained by producing. This week's work, this chapter, becomes real when you redirect consumption into production. Set aside 1 hour this week and complete the following. Review your last 30 days of spending and identify your top 3 consumption categories. Choose one category and study the production chain behind it. Identify one skill, service, product, or asset opportunity connected to that category. Redirect a specific dollar amount from consumption into production this week. Create one small product, service, sample, piece of content, lesson, recipe, design, offer, or tool. Ask one person for feedback. Schedule 3 production blocks for the next 7 days. Do not try to become a producer in every area at once. Choose one doorway and enter it with seriousness. Declaration: I enjoy beauty, rest, and celebration without letting consumption become my identity. I will not spend my way into the appearance of freedom while neglecting the structures of freedom. I choose to produce, build, own, teach, create, improve, protect, and transfer value. I will study the chains behind what I buy. I will redirect some spending into skill and assets. I will honor culture by organizing it with dignity. I am becoming a producer for my household, my community, and future generations. Closing thought: the 10th law of melanated success is this: produce more than you consume. Consumption can bring comfort, beauty, and joy, but production builds capacity. Production turns imagination into value. Production turns culture into ownership. Production turns skill into income. Production turns income into assets. Production turns assets into options. Production turns options into freedom. Do not only buy what others build, build. Do not only share what others publish, publish. Do not only complain about what is missing, create. Do not only admire institutions, study how to form them. A people who produce can negotiate differently. A people who own can plan differently. A people who build can teach the next generation something deeper than taste. They can teach power.